So last night during the CNBC debate, there was a particular moderator that was quite harsh on you regarding your economic and fiscal policy and all the numbers. Would you mind going into a little bit more specifics regarding your economic policy?
Sure. We were talking about my taxation program, and they said, no way, the numbers don't add up. Well, they add up perfectly fine. Our federal budget, right around $3.5 trillion. That's a big federal budget. You're talking about a GDP of around $18 trillion. If you tax that at a 15% rate, that yields $2.7 trillion. So you're only $800 billion away from parity. And we still haven't taxed capital gains at 15% or corporate profits at 15%. That will make up a lot of the difference. But in addition to that, think about this. There is so much waste in our system. It is mind-boggling. And by not increasing the federal hiring and by requiring every division of the government to cut their budget by 2 to 3%, you are going to cut an enormous amount of waste out. Now, the way I would do it is I would tell the leaders of each department, you're required to cut this out. And if you cut it out in a way that hurts the populace, which is what happened the last time with the sequester, they looked for the most painful things they could do so they could say, see, we can't cut any money out. I will tell them that if they do that, they're gone immediately. It's as simple as that. The other thing that I would do is I would get the most powerful economic engine the world's ever known rolling again by getting rid of useless regulations, and by that I mean doing a cost-benefit analysis on every single one of them. And if the benefit is not greater than the cost, zippo, it's gone. Okay? And also utilizing our natural resources. I would use the EPA, change its mission, and probably change a lot of its personnel. And they would work with business, with industry, with agriculture to find the cleanest, most environmentally friendly ways to do things, rather than how to suppress and harass people. And that's going to get us moving a lot further, a lot faster. These are simple things, but they will work very well.
Thank you, Dr. Carson. I just wanted to ask you, from having a very unique set of experiences, what would be your prescription to America for improving our physical health, particularly since we are a nation that has skyrocketing healthcare costs, and quite frankly, why are they so expensive?
Okay. Well, first of all, I would try to put health care back in the hands of the people. You know, as everybody knows, I don't like the so-called Affordable Care Act. The reason I don't like it, it's not because it doesn't work and not because it's not affordable, but the reason I don't like it is because this is a country that is supposed to be of, for, and by the people. And the government is supposed to be here to facilitate life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But with the Affordable Care Act, the government comes along and it says, we don't care what you, the people, think. This is what we're doing. We're shoving it down your throat, and if you don't like it, too bad. Well, that is antithetical to the very concepts that created this nation. And if we continue to accept that, we will accept anything. And that's why I rail against it so hard. We cannot allow the government to control our lives like that. But so what I have proposed instead is a health savings account system. People get them from the day they're born. They keep them until they die. They can pass them on when they die to their family. And we pay for it with the very same dollars that we pay for traditional health care with. We spend twice as much per capita on health care as many other countries. So we have a lot of money in the system. It's just used in a very inefficient way. And you give people the ability to shift money in their HSA among family members. So, you know, your mom could give it to you, your wife, your daughter, your uncle, your cousin, anybody. It gives you enormous flexibility to cover almost anything that comes up, except for catastrophic things. And you have catastrophic insurance for that, which is much cheaper because the only thing coming out of it is real catastrophic health issues. How often do those occur? Not very often. So it's like a homeowner's policy with a big deductible versus a homeowner's policy where you want every scratch covered. Two completely different animals. It makes a huge difference. And it also, because the relationship now is between you and the healthcare system, it brings clarity and transparency and quality. All of those are the kinds of things that are not going to be seen in a massive bureaucratic system like what we have now. Now, that takes care of 75% of the people. It doesn't take care of the indigent. And what are we going to do about them? Well, how do we take care of them now? Medicaid. Annual Medicaid budget, $400 to $500 billion a year. How many people participate? About 80 million, which is way too many, but that's another issue that can be taken care of by fixing the economy and giving them opportunities. But let's deal with what we have. 80 million into 400 billion, 5,000. $5,000 each man, woman, and child per year. What could you buy with that? A concierge practice, boutique practice that rich people buy, typically $2,000 to $3,000 a year. And then you still got thousands left over to buy your catastrophic insurance, which is much cheaper now because of the way that the system works. And some people say, that'll never work because poor people are not capable of managing their own health care. You can't give them control of a health savings account. Well, you know, people in Washington always say things like that so that they can be in control. They think everybody's just like they are. But anyway, but the fact of the matter is they said that about food stamps too, and people learn very quickly how to use food stamps, and they would learn how to use a health savings account too. And when Mr. Jones has that diabetic foot ulcer, he will learn quickly not to go to the emergency room where it costs 5 times more than the clinic. He's going to go to the clinic. In the clinic, they fix him up, and they say, now let's get your diabetes under control so you're not back here in 3 weeks with another problem. A whole nother level of savings that we as a society are not realizing. Plus, we're teaching Mr. Jones the whole concept of personal responsibility versus dependency. And that's what we have to do. Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Carson. I'm a citizen that tries to live by the law conscientiously and not do anything illegal. That frightens me. I don't want to do anything illegal, whether it's local, state, and especially federal. But it's provoking to me to hear constantly on the news that states are breaking federal laws, politicians breaking federal laws. There's illegality in immigration. Why is there not action against these illegalities when we, the average citizen, would pay tooth and nail for breaking the law?
Yeah, good question. And I've been told that that has to be the last question, just for those who are standing. Well, first of all, you know, we are a nation of laws, or at least we used to be. Before we had a Justice Department and an executive branch that decided that it wants to pick and choose the laws that it wants to enforce. You know, I was flabbergasted, my wife and I, when we went down to the Arizona border with Mexico a few months ago and saw what was going on there. I mean, Was there a fence? Yeah. But, I mean, it's the kind of fence when I was a kid, I don't think it would even slow me down. I mean, it's ridiculous. And there weren't any border guards. Why have border guards if they're not on the border? You know, they were like 70 miles inland. That doesn't do any good. There was one place where there was a big hole cut in the fence, and they had repaired it with a couple of strings of barbed wire. And, you know, the cameramen who were with us, they wanted to shoot from the Mexican side, so they just went through right there, you know. And they were not athletic people, so, I mean, that's how easy it is to get across the border. It's just craziness. And so that is one, those are laws that we do need to enforce. You know, if you look at Yuma County in Arizona, they were able to cut the illegal immigration traffic by 97%. And how did they do it? They had a fence, a double fence, with an asphalt road in between, so there was quick access. They actually had border guards on the border, imagine that. And they prosecuted first-time offenders rather than the catch and release program that we have today. And that was not with utilizing sensory technology and drone surveillance and things like that. 97%. That program was largely gutted, and for some reason, the DOJ just didn't seem to want to have that going on. And now we have basically a highway of illegal drug trafficking as well as people trafficking. We have people coming in here from multiple other countries. I mean, it's ridiculous. So I believe it is possible to seal the border within 1 year. And I do believe that, if you turn off the spigot that dispenses the goodies, there won't be any reason for anybody to try to come over here. And then I believe that we do have to deal with the millions and millions of people who are here already. I think if they have a pristine record and they would like to stay, they have to register within a defined period of time. I would make it 6 months. They have to pay a back tax penalty. They have to pay taxes going forward. They are not citizens, and they don't get to vote. And they have to work somewhere where we want them to work. And it's important to recognize that some of the industries in this country very much depend on that labor, and they would collapse almost immediately without it. But it can only be done by people who are here in a legal manner. And it is not an amnesty program because it does not make people citizens. It does not give people the vote. So when you hear people saying Carson wants amnesty, that's not true. What Carson wants is practicality, things that actually work for us. And we're also reasonable people. One of the things that I think is very important in terms of our foreign policy is not to be giving billions of dollars to other people in foreign aid, which we borrow from China and we pay the interest and then we give it to somebody else. It doesn't make any sense. But we should be supplying foreign aid. Like in Cameroon right now, American companies over there helping to develop millions of acres of incredibly fertile land, and they're getting record crops and they're making big profits. At the meantime, they're building the infrastructure of that country, and they're providing jobs there, and they're teaching people there the ag business so that they can do it for themselves. And there's no reason that we can't do that in Central America and South America also, so that they can begin to prosper, and our companies will prosper in the meantime, and they won't feel that they need to come here. And I think that's the kind of leadership that we should show in the United States. All right, thank you all very much.